If the right honourable gentleman imagines for a second that a significant majority of people would not welcome the move to Bradford, then he's woefully unaware of the mood within the country.
I have a job to do, just like you. Mine happens to be in Eatanswill, where we've happily spent most of our lives.
So where'd you get 10 grand from?
Jeff Holton. I laundered some money for him. Only he won't tell anyone, will he?
OK, class, settle down, please.
I've got a boyfriend.
I'm talking about sex. She's only just gone 14.
Listen, 10 to 1, Andrew's going to grill you over the leak in the mail.
I'm not saying she is. I'm just saying I have wondered.
Not that it was a leak, and you certainly shouldn't allow him to refer to it as such, but...
I won't. I do like Stanley. He's a very bright boy. Well, he would be if he concentrated better.
But he will try and put that slant on it. I know he likes to put over this touchy-feely, muesli-eating pro-Bradford thing, but...
Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Have you, talked to Ian about it?
You're joking. He'd mull it over, and then he'd go through the roof.
So what makes you think they are, then? At it?
Might be.
Well, whatever.
I found a condom in her coat pocket.
1 minute, sir.
Morning, Prime Minister.
Morning.
Andrew Marr's on his way.
You were having sex when you were 14, Tansy.
Oh, no, not me, Ros. I get the impression everyone else was gearing up for it.
Prime Minister.
Good morning, Andrew.
Thank you.
Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Oh.
Angela Merkel rang, and you can never get shut of her.
So they tell me.
Banging on about this new European constitution. Which, to be frank, is no better than the last one.
And now, at 8:10, we go live to Andrew Marr in Downing Street. He's with the Prime Minister.
Georgina, your mum's on the telly.
Good morning from here inside number 10 Downing Street, where I'm joined by the Prime Minister. A year to the day after she stepped into office after that astonishing and historic sprint to victory. Prime Minister, it has been a remarkable 12 months, both for you and for the government. This week, work begins on the new Parliament building in Bradford, which is due to be completed in March 2010. And you've described this as the beginning of a new era for British politics. Certainly the polls suggest there's a different atmosphere around. There's an increased mood of mutual responsibility, mutual trust, social awareness, and, of course, political participation too. But everything in the garden isn't rosy, is it, Prime Minister? Because there is a very
I better be getting off school now, Dad.
Said, very angry group of people who believe that moving the Parliament to Bradford is opening the doors to the barbarians, and then that you're going to sell off the silver with this new move on Whitehall.
Barbarians, that's interesting.
And there's a story in the Daily Mail this morning that there is to be no place for a throne for the monarch in the new upper house.
It's not the upper house anymore, Andrew. It's the second house. And I'm glad you brought it up because it's something I think we need to start talking about. The monarchy. I'm very fond of the Queen, both personally and historically. I think her and her family have done very well over the last 1,000 years or so. But what are they for anymore? Really?
So
the fact is, yes. I've had 2 sets of designs drawn up for the new second house. One with a throne and one without.
Prime Minister, the implications of this are very serious indeed.
See, I don't think they are anymore. And I don't think most people out there do either. And the other thing I want to talk about this morning is my proposal to introduce an amnesty on illegal immigrants.
It's an interesting idea.
It's the kind of interesting idea that starts riots. Is she planning to include people who've just come out of prison, do you imagine?
Can identify them. It's in practice going to cost something like $4.7 billion to do it.
Oh, yeah, forgot to say. Tom and Helen are getting married.
Who?
Tom, Radcliffe. We're at LSE together, so he's asked me to be his best man, so we're invited.
I'm not invited. He doesn't know me.
Well, he knows I've been seeing someone else since I split up with Orla, so...
Seeing?
Seeing, yes.
You are an advisor. You help write my speeches. The fact that we may have sex now and again.
No, we do have sex now and again, Chancellor. I'd like you to consider coming with me.
No. And don't ask me again. And don't ask me why, because you know why.
Happy birthday.
Oh, gosh, Liz. Long time no see. Not properly. Not now you've moved to the Department of Health.
You shouldn't have.
Yeah, well, would have given you chocolates, but, you know, that's what she gives.
Does she?
Signed.
In person?
No. Well, no. She signs a box of chocolates in person, I assume, and then she gets one of her minions to drop it off. Keep up the good work! Exclamation mark. Like she notices. Yeah, that's what I got. Fortnum and Mason's, very wholesome. Not. Half a stone later. Thank you very much, Ros. So, you celebrating?
Oh, no, I wasn't planning to.
Are you all right?
It's Peter. He's divorcing me.
You're joking.
No warning, nothing. And there's the girls. No, just some shitty little letter from some bloody solicitor. How bad is that? Sorry.
No. Listen to me. Listen. You, Beverley, need a night out, mate.
Well, to Mum. To the next 12 months. Who'd have thought it?
Everybody except you, as I recall.
No.
Cheers. Cheers. It's very nice of you to pop up from Brighton to see us. We thought you'd forgotten where we were.
It's a big day for you. Didn't want to not be here.
Oh. And how are all your new pals? Good. On the course? Yeah? Good. Good. Well, Dad's enjoying his new job. Aren't you, Dad?
It was a good move leaving Hutton's. It's nice to be able to move on.
So, what have you two been up to today?
Nothing.
Oh. Well, my education bill flew through its second reading in the House this morning. Then I had a very interesting conversation with the Sustainable Energy Select Committee. Then I hosted a cross-party meeting on the UK's transport infrastructure.
And me and your mum have been invited skiing with Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall.
Yippee. Bad luck.
We won't be going.
Oh, I don't know why not.
Well, for a kick-off, the invitation may no longer be cordial, after what I said on telly this morning.
Ah, that was like well cool what you said on telly this morning, Mr. Pritchard, about booting out the Queen and everything.
I'm not going to boot her anywhere, Stanley. She's not as young as she was.
Yay! We was all going, yay! Ross, like that. Well, I was.
Were you?
Did you cook this? It's like well nice. And I don't normally do vegetables.
Right. There's a bottle of water in the fridge.
You stay where you are.
That's all right.
Lighten up.
Fuck off.
Right, where are we going now? You are kidding! Oh, come on, we've started, we might as well finish. You are supposed to be cheering me up.
Yeah, and I have.
And you have, but, and it's a big but, not unlike my own. The night is young.
Not that young? Not midweek is not.
Oh.
I gotta get you home to Dolphin Square.
Oh, I don't want to go back to Dolphin Square.
You've got to.
Beverley, hello.
Oh, do you know Mark McGaffrey? We were on the tax law rewrite joint committee together last year. This is Liz Shannon.
Hello. Look, we're just about to go on to Simeon's. Why don't you come with us?
No, thanks, all the same.
Oh, Mark's all right.
Beverley needs to get home.
I've never been to Simeon's.
You don't want to, it's full of fat old pistol quiz.
Oh! Well, I'm not fat or old. You, Beverley, are more than welcome. Look, we're just going to get a taxi.
Why not?
Beverley, you're a junior minister. Think about that.
Yes, and I'm a human being as well. He's fine. He's harmless. Come on.
No. Beverley.
Was Emily herself? I couldn't decide.
And well, they change, don't they? When they go to university. It's all part of it.
Yeah, no. Bless her. Did you ever have sex with Louisa Butterworth? Didn't, did you?
Did I? We're only kids.
You were 15, weren't you? 16? Didn't occur to me to have sex with anybody. It's like I got going with you. Not properly. I'd have had sex with Paul Michael Glazer at one stage. He'd asked, but he didn't. If he had, he probably would have been arrested.
Yeah.
I found a condom in our Georgina's coat pocket.
You what?
That phone doesn't ring.
Well, it's ringing now.
There's only certain people have that number. And only certain circumstances they're allowed to use it.
Like?
Armageddon.
You better answer it then.
Ross Pritchard.
Prime Minister, this is the Chief of the Defence Staff.
Hello, Sir Andrew.
Prime Minister, there's been an explosion over northeast London. It's not entirely clear what's happened or what's happening, so until it is, I would like to suggest that you move your family into the underground complex.
You're kidding.
Just as a precaution, just until things become clearer.
You get that, please? Swell. What?
A plane has come down. There is debris falling from the sky. There are fires on the ground, big fires, kerosene.
Oh, help.
It's possibly a bomb. We don't know, but if it is, it might not be the only one. There could be other aircraft primed to detonate over London. I suggest you get your family downstairs.
Ross?
Take the girls downstairs.
What's...
I'll come and find you. I'll come and explain just as soon as I know what's going on. Sir Andrew, I'll see you downstairs in, 10 minutes?
All I can see behind me is a wall of flame. Over there...
Sit down.
The yards down there, a church is on fire. And I can tell you, even from this distance, the heat absolutely overwhelming. But I can tell you there's a lot of confusion down here at the scene, and obviously a lot of distress, with more and more emergency service vehicles arriving by the second.
So what? Come on. What's happening?
It's a Lithuanian passenger jet. They lost contact with air traffic control at 27 minutes past 11 when the plane exploded.
There's no warning, nothing.
There are 91 passengers on board, 6 crew. They were at 5,000 feet when it happened.
So it's not quite like Lockerbie. It's over a more concentrated area. Though inevitably it's a much more built-up area. We're getting reports of debris being scattered over 5 or 6 miles.
We estimate the aeroplane was still carrying over 200 gallons of fuel when it exploded.
We've no way of knowing how many casualties we're dealing with as yet.
Has anyone claimed responsibility?
Not yet, no.
Of course, we don't know for a fact that it's a bomb. We shouldn't automatically assume it is.
What we have got is the passenger list from Vilnius. We've already identified this man, Tariq al-Bahini. He's on the CIA's list of 5,000 al-Qaeda suspects.
The unfortunate fact is these people rarely, if ever, work alone.
So then, do we assume that there are more planes up there right now waiting to detonate?
The Home Secretary's right. It could be a fault with the aircraft. But we've spoken to the airline, and the plane was serviced less than 4 weeks ago, and as far as they're concerned, there was nothing wrong with it.
So what? Come on. What can we do? If there are more of them.
We can delay all flights into all our major airports that haven't taken off yet.
Good. Do it.
But the likelihood is anything that's going to blow up is already up there.
27 minutes past 11. It's been half an hour. Right, I'm going to Walthamstow. Now?
Is that the best thing to do, Prime Minister?
Well, I'm not sitting round here waiting for another one to drop onto somebody's head.
Prime Minister, we cannot guarantee your safety.
I can be more use out there than I am in here.
Not, Prime Minister, if the country is under attack.
If the country's under attack, your place is here.
Ros, there are certain orders only you can give.
An hour. And then I'm going out there.
The Prime Minister and the Home Secretary were at the site of the crash within an hour and a half of the explosion. They've been in one of the many hospitals for the last 2 hours, talking to survivors, comforting people, and finding out exactly what happened. We're going live now to Walthamstow.
Under cover of darkness, the scale of the disaster was difficult for emergency service chiefs to assess. It was only as dawn broke that the extent of the devastation became clear. Hopes that people might still be found alive beneath the wreckage diminished as each hour passed.
Off back to Brighton. Are you going to wait and say goodbye to your mum?
I've got stuff to do.
Well, she'd be disappointed not to have seen more of you.
See ya. Tell the boss I'll ring her.
Yeah.
And now we're going back to Walthamstow, where the Prime Minister is emerging from the hospital.
Prime Minister! How would you describe what you've seen, Prime Minister?
It's horrendous. It's terrible. I've seen things nobody should ever have to see.
Do we know the cause yet?
No, we don't know what caused it, and we won't know for some time. But I do think it's important not to overreact, not to jump to conclusions. Not until the full facts are known. Thank you.
Five separate organisations have claimed responsibility since 4 o'clock this morning. MI5 have discredited 2 of them. 2 are people we have no reason to take seriously. And the 5th is an organisation calling itself Al-Fahad Haroza. They posted a statement on their website at 9:30 this morning. They described themselves as Muslim extremists with links to Al-Qaeda.
And have they?
We don't know yet.
Can they trace them?
That's what they're trying to do right now. The second thing, Tariq al-Bahini didn't board the plane yesterday evening in Vilnius.
Didn't? So, well, it couldn't have been him then, setting off a bomb.
Ah, no, sorry. I'm afraid the fact that he didn't get on the plane is just as likely to indicate his guilt as if he had.
You're assuming he was a suicide bomber, which isn't necessarily the case.
So, he checked his luggage in, but didn't get on the plane himself, and no one noticed.
Yes.
Morning.
There's another envelope there marked private.
Oh, it'll be from his arsehole solicitor again.
Did you have a nice evening?
Until I heard the news, yeah.
It's frightening, isn't it? You can't imagine what they go through.
No, have we got any headache pills?
You'll need some water.
Hello?
Mrs. Clark?
Yes?
It's Ronnie Johnson from The World. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm shocked. I'm devastated, obviously, by the events in Walthamstow last night. We all are.
Yeah, did you get home all right last night?
Sorry?
You're a bit the worse for wear when you parted company with my photographer.
You seemed slightly somewhat oblivious to events in Walthamstow last night, as he recalls.
Well, yes, obviously. Until I got home, I wasn't fully...
Did you get that package I had biked round this morning?
It might elucidate things if you were having trouble remembering what you got up to last night. Mrs. Clark?
What do you want?
A comment before we publish the pictures.
No, you can't.
I can. I think it's in the legitimate public interest to know at the same time as 97 innocent people are plummeting to their deaths over Walthamstow last night.
Not to mention the 31 that got crushed on the ground. One of our trusted junior ministers is parading around the West End, pissed out of her skull.
Looking like an advert for a midlife crisis.
Right.
Do you recall
Punching my photographer in the Hasselblad? Or the torrent of abuse that you levelled at him?
My marriage is breaking down. My husband is divorcing me.
Well, that's tragic and sad.
But to be frank, no excuse. And if that's the way you carry on, love, we really can't blame him, can we?
Mr. Speaker, I echo the Prime Minister in extending our thoughts and prayers to the families of the bereaved and injured in Walthamstow, and in expressing our deepest admiration to the emergency services. However, and I say this with a heavy heart, if this does prove to be an attack on this nation by the same kind of misguided Islamic extremists who have attacked us before, will the Prime Minister accept that she has achieved nothing over the last 12 months other than to alienate us from our allies in Washington? Surely even she can see that the biggest danger this country now faces is undoubtedly from herself. A puppet Prime Minister who is vastly out of her depth, who always was and who is swiftly leading this country down the short route to chaos. If this does prove to be a terrorist attack, as it almost certainly will, I want to know, along with many, many other people up and down this country, that she will resign.
Yes, I might just do that, Mr. Smarty Pants.
No, you won't.
Liz, Shannon.
Mr. Speaker, as member for Walthamstow, I speak with a heavier heart than most. I welcome the measures outlined by the Prime Minister for the immediate and long-term rehabilitation of Walthamstow. Just as it is inappropriate at this stage for the Right Honourable Gentleman, the Leader of the Opposition, to speculate as to the cause of the disaster, it is possibly inappropriate for me to speculate too. It is possibly inappropriate for me to point out that Flight VIL 350 was a Russian-built Aloysia Mark II 79, one of the world's least reliable aircraft still in regular service. It is possibly inappropriate for me to point out that this aircraft, built in 1971, does not conform to the ICAO Stage 3 noise limitations, does not have fly-by-wire technology, which means it is prone to pilot error, does not have anti-collision technology, which is why it can land in the United States of America.
Sit down. I need to see the pictures. As I explained to Lois, I don't really want... I need to see the pictures. Do you realise that you reek of alcohol? And they're saying that you were abusive and violent, and you blacked out. You have no memory of any of this? I have had certain domestic issues to contend with over a sustained period, which... This at a time not only of national mourning, but also at a time when the Home Secretary has been putting considerable time, effort and thought into the problem of binge drinking amongst young women. Mess, isn't it? I want to offer my resignation. I bet you do. And I need to talk to Ros.
Inappropriate as this kind of speculation is before the full facts are known, I would like to ask the Prime Minister to confirm that if this disaster does prove to be caused not by terrorists, but by technical fault due to negligence on the part of the carrier company, that this government will take appropriate legal action against that carrier company on behalf of the people of Walthamstow.
If this does prove to be a terrorist attack,
Yes, I will resign.
Ros, you head!
And if it proves to be negligence, yes, this government will sue the big fat backside off the carrier company. Well said.
I do wish you hadn't said that. You said you'd resign.
Yep.
In the House.
Yeah, well, I might do.
Might do? You might do?
Yes, all right. And don't you start, because I've already had an earful from Catherine and Hillary. I was annoyed. He was winding me up.
That's his job.
Yes, well, he's very good at it.
Ros, I need to talk to you.
I'm going to get bollocked by the Foreign Secretary now as well.
It's not about you threatening to resign, although, yes, it's unfortunate and regrettable that you said it to the House.
What's wrong with you people? If I haven't made this country any less vulnerable to attack by distancing myself from Bush's administration, what have I achieved?
A lot, actually. How dare you threaten to resign? After all the work everyone's put into this administration.
Yes, well, I didn't exactly mean it.
You said it in the House. Ros, I'm afraid it could turn out to be our fault anyway, even if it isn't terrorists.
What do you mean?
Can we... EU Directive 93/9873/EU, which gives Europe a transnational air safety policy, was passed 3 months ago in a standing order by the European Affairs Select Committee.
And?
And it allows for significantly less stringent standards and checks on aircraft flying into our country than we previously had in place.
Why?
Because it's a transnational policy. It covers countries like Poland who can't afford the kind of standards that we can afford.
You mean standards have gone down?
Yes.
And nobody said anything?
It went through the European Affairs Select Committee.
Sorry. We've lowered our standards to fit in with Europe?
Effectively, yes. It went through on the nod, like thousands of bits of legislation do from Europe every year. It's all scrutinised. Some bits are recommended for further discussion, others aren't.
Another problem, of course, is that the best people don't always sit on the scrutiny committee because, frankly, it's boring and has very little real power.
The point is, if it does turn out to be a fault with the plane, you can't necessarily sue the carrier company for negligence, as you've threatened to. And if it does turn out to be a fault caused by the lowering of standards, and we accepted that legislation, the buck really does stop with you.
But I didn't know anything about all this.
Ignorance of what goes on inside your own parliament isn't any kind of a defence, Prime Minister.
So I'm stuffed either way.
I went to the house where I thought you lived. Your mate Charlotte says you've dropped out.
What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at work?
Yes, I should. I wanted to try and sort things out between us a bit. Can I come in? So have you? Dropped out?
It wasn't like I thought it would be. It was like everyone else knew what they were doing and I didn't.
So you don't think this is something you should have discussed with me and your mum?
She's too busy. And I couldn't give a toss what you might think. Of course, having your guilty little pile of crap on my conscience for the last God knows how long hasn't helped.
I shouldn't have told you.
Damn right you shouldn't.
And I'm sorry. I wish I hadn't. It was irresponsible, and I can see how it's affected you. And I am sorry, all right? You haven't told anyone, have you?
I'm this close. Every day. To picking up the phone to me mother.
You see, it isn't just me you damage.
What do you think stops me? One drink too many one night and you and the government's down the pan, mush.
So where's his boyfriend?
Out.
What does he do?
Nothing.
You haven't told him about...
No.
So, what are your plans?
I haven't got any.
What am I going to tell your mum?
Anything you like.
Miranda.
Veronica, what do you want?
You asked me here.
No, in return for not publishing the pictures, what do you want? And then I can get back to helping run the country and the proper business of government.
Oh, I see. Well, okay, may as well go for gold. How about an exclusive interview with the Prime Minister?
How long an interview?
You serious? An hour? Is she willing to? Is preserving Beverley Clark's integrity really that important to her?
Ros takes these things very seriously. She and Beverley were very close at one stage.
Oh, I know. All the same...
She's a very loyal human being. You see, with Ros, it's not about embarrassing the government. It's about the fact that if you publish these pictures, this woman probably wouldn't be able to cope with the consequences. Her marriage is breaking down. She only sees her children at the weekends. She is doing a job of remarkable complexity and sensitivity, and despite all this business, she is actually doing it very effectively. People respond to her. She achieves things. People want her to get over this and move on. She's a talented woman with immense potential. You have it in your power to end her career. If you choose not to, Ros will give you an hour of her time, and Beverley's problem will be dealt with.
So I get an hour with Ros Pritchard. Just me and her?
I'd have to be there.
Oh, well, yes, that goes without saying.
So,
when do I get an hour with Ros Pritchard?
you don't, Ronnie. I was taking the piss. Can you seriously imagine Ros Pritchard would make a backstairs deal with a cheesecake like you?
Fine. You just hauled me in here to play fucking games.
We're chairing the G8 summit in 2 weeks' time. Did you know that?
Yes.
Tomorrow, we have a 4-hour meeting with the Japanese finance minister, followed by a big session on climate change with the Policy Exchange think tank. Last night, Walthamstow was blasted to kingdom come. We've got mosques on fire, and I have to spend time with a piece of crap like you. You want to publish those pictures? You publish them. See how much good it does you. Times have changed, Ronnie. We don't need you. You need us.
Is that so?
You publish this story, and no one from your paper will ever be invited to another press briefing here again. You'll be getting all your political stories from other papers, because nobody at Number 10 will speak to you. And I can promise you, right here, right now, that you will never, ever get within a 100-mile radius of an exclusive with Ros Pritchard. So, the ball's in your court. Caroline, Veronica is leaving.
Ian, what am I not going to like? You didn't. You are kidding. Oh, fuck. No, leave it with me. Don't say anything to Ros until I've had a chance to see if I can, just leave it with me, all right? Right. Bye. Bye-bye. Miranda Lennox, I need to speak to Kitty Porter. Taiwan? What is she doing in Taiwan? Well, fine, good. Can you tell her to ring me, please, as soon as she steps off the plane? Good night. What?
Alpha Harosa doesn't exist.
It amounts to nothing more than a website created by a 15-year-old Palestinian boy.
And not only was Tariq al-Bahini not on the plane, his luggage wasn't either, because he and it was arrested on suspicion of possession of drugs just after he checked in.
So, out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Since this information came to light, I've had this ballistics bloke on the phone who's leading the team looking at the wreckage, and he's telling me that early indications suggest, pretty conclusively, that it wasn't a bomb.
A plane sabotaged not by terrorists, but by European legislation.
Who needs suicide bombers when you've got the European Commission?
Frightening, isn't it?
Yes, well, I'm going to say all this on telly.
No.
Why not?
Because you can't say it without it looking as if you don't know what's going on inside your own parliament.
I didn't know what was going on inside my own parliament. I should tell them the truth. There's all this legislation coming in from Brussels, and we don't have time to scrutinise it properly. We only realise something's bonkers when a tragedy like this happens. How do other countries cope?
They don't. France and Germany both experience similar problems to us.
So why does it go on?
Because it always has. It's the way the system has evolved. This could have happened anywhere in Europe.
But it didn't. It happened here. So it's incumbent on us to do something about it.
Such as?
I'd like to see all laws coming from Brussels being subjected to the same kind of rigorous parliamentary scrutiny that our own laws are subjected to. Everything should come through both houses, however long it takes.
And you should have the power to reject anything we're not happy with.
And face being disciplined by European courts?
If Europe dares to threaten to discipline Britain for asserting its sovereign right to power over its own affairs, then I will threaten to withdraw our subsidy to Brussels, which is worth the equivalent of £1.5 million an hour. If they want our money, they can respect the scrupulous way that we like to make our laws.
Don't you think you should resign, Prime Minister?
I will, if that's what people want.
Well, you threatened to resign for some odd reason if it proved to be a bomb. Now it's proved to be something which really is your fault. You are not resigning. Why not?
I've just said, if you pin back your lug holes, I will, if that's what people want. And no doubt people will make their feelings abundantly obvious, as they do.
I think they already have.
I would like to say this. 12 months ago, I knew nothing about politics. I'm learning every day. I was unaware that this legislation had gone through, and I apologise, although I know that can never be enough for the people who have lost loved ones in Walthamstow. But what I can promise is that this won't happen again, because I want a new relationship with Europe. One where legislation is not allowed to escape our attention. One where scrutiny is robust and the process transparent.
Yeah, that all sounds very nice, but we've heard it all before.
The European Commission has got to improve, because this is just one in a long line of mistakes made by them. We all know that Commission members have not filed audited accounts and have resigned en masse several times because of corruption charges levelled at them. These people shouldn't be shaping our lives.
So, your mum said she found something in your coat pocket the other night.
It wasn't mine.
How did it get there then?
I don't know.
Where's your pocket?
Sir?
So, who else puts things in your pocket?
I don't know. And what was she doing looking through our pockets anyway?
Oh, well, that's something you'd have to take up with her.
I was looking for my iPod, which you borrowed and promised to return, and then didn't. But Stanley asked you to have sex with it.
No.
You know it's illegal, don't you?
Yeah, well, we weren't doing anything, so it doesn't arise.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. That's all we needed to know.
For goodness sake.
Another spectacularly well-handled triumph from the British Prime Minister. Where's Emily?
Oh, she went back to Brighton. She said to say to her.
If we genuinely want a united Europe, in which we can grow as countries to become closer neighbours and closer traders,
Hi.
then it will not happen
Hi.
with useless politics in charge. I'm grateful to the Conservative and the Labour
Tape.
and those members of the Federal Alliance who are better
Oh,
understanding of the
thanks.
of Europe. But our best efforts have not been good enough.
I'd like you to reconsider coming with me to the wedding.
200 new laws,
No.
400 amendments, thousands.
Where are you going?
You'll find my resignation on your desk in the morning.
Don't be like that.
I can't do this.
Ben!
And why should I? What's wrong with you?
I warned you. Right from the beginning. You knew not to expect anything.
Fine.
You're not going to resign.
Continuing to do the job would involve being in the same room as you, so...
I'm 40. Odd, nearly. And look at you, you're about 15.
So what? I'm 25.
You know so what. People will take the piss. They will use it to imply that my judgment is... not what it should be. Don't... Don't spoil it.
Think about it.
Have you looked at the tape?
I'd like you to consider coming with me.
Have you looked at the tape?
Yes, Mark McCaffrey was asleep.
Say that again.
When the European Affairs Select Committee was discussing Directive 939873EU, Mark McCaffrey was sitting there asleep, plain as day. You can actually hear him snoring.
Ros Pritchard?
I fucked up. Beverley was tired and emotional, having learned that her love-rat husband was planning to divorce her. The move to Bradford, with its purpose-built facilities designed to accommodate MPs who are also housewives and mums, will mean that treasures like Bev won't find themselves struggling to balance out their lives in quite the same way demanded by the archaic, unrelenting Westminster system.
Well, it could be worse.
Oh, it will be. That photo will get reprinted everywhere tomorrow.
Ronnie put that spin on it to try and stay on the right side of you, but don't be fooled. It'll do just as much damage when everyone else gets hold of it.
You're going to have to let her go. From health. You cannot be seen to be condoning that sort of thing.
Somebody had better ring Beverley. Warn her.
I'll phone Lois.
I'm going to bed. Night-night.
Night.
Go home.
What you need right now is some sleaze on the Tories to bury this.
Yes, that'd be handy.
Good night.
Night. Get me Lois Davenport. Kitty, how are you?
It's 6 o'clock. Good morning. This is Today with James Naughtie and John Humphreys. The news headlines this morning read by Vaughan Savage.
A faulty fuel pipe is now thought to have been what caused the Lithuanian passenger jet to crash in Walthamstow on Monday night. The death toll now stands at 137, with a further 18 people still critically ill in hospital. The BBC has obtained leaked footage of the European Affairs Select Committee, which passed the controversial Air Traffic Safety Directive 93/9873, in which Tory MP Mark McCaffrey is clearly seen to be asleep. Finland's Prime Minister Matti Vanhanen has applauded Mrs. Pritchard's criticisms of the European Commission yesterday, describing her comments as precise, welcome and long overdue. Other news. The World newspaper has published pictures of Junior Health Minister Beverley Clark in what it describes as a compromised position. Mrs. Clark, who is believed to be separating from her husband, was photographed on Monday night outside a club in London's West End. And in
Emily.
Kitty,
How are you?
what are you doing here?
Can I come in?
It's a shithole.
This may surprise you, but I grew up in a shithole.
Which is worse? Letting the directive go through because you're asleep, or being wide awake and letting it go through?
It's a very pertinent question.
Well, he'll have to resign his seat. Pritchard's going to look a big girl if he lets that pass.
I imagine he'll have him on the carpet by now.
I thought you said MPs couldn't resign their seats.
They can't, technically. He'll apply for the office of the Chiltern Hundreds.
Oh, I love all this arcane crap we've got floating around Westminster. Like a secret language for the posh and the clever and the initiated.
The only way a member can vacate their seat, other than by dying or being elevated to the peerage, is by applying for an office of the Crown. The office of the Chiltern Hundreds and the office of Northstead are the only two left, retained precisely for that purpose. So when it becomes absolutely necessary, members can be booted out.
Profumo took the office of the Chiltern Hundreds.
So it's embarrassing?
Oh, yes. Well, in this case, it will be, definitely. Of course, it's still used when people fall ill, seriously ill, although often they choose to carry on and die in the saddle. No, really. Giving up your seat is something no one does lightly.
Of course, he's a symptom, not the cause. And he's a scapegoat. But he does illustrate the point rather nicely, doesn't he?
Yes?
Prime Minister, we've just had a call from the Whip's office. Beverley Clark's in hospital.
You are an arse. What are you?
Paul.
Do you know why you're an arse? A very particular kind of arse. Apart from the obvious fact that you've opened your seat up to a by-election, which she no doubt will bloody well win.
Well, is that really necessary?
Of course it's necessary! You've just reinforced the idea that we're a bunch of self-serving upper-class twits who couldn't give a tinker's fart about a few hundred ordinary people getting crushed to buggery in Walthamstow.
I have found it hard to keep up with the workload when one is constantly, persistently working until 2 and 3...
Resignation of members of Parliament, current procedure.
No. Paul, consider the work I've been doing.
This is why you're a very particular kind of arse, so I suggest you listen. A member wishing to resign applies to the Chancellor of the Exchequer for the office of the Chiltern Hundreds. The Chancellor of the Exchequer. You have to apply to that woman. That woman who betrayed this party so utterly, so absolutely. You have to apply to her and ask her to let you go. No. Repeat after me. I am an ass.
There's nothing sinister about any of this. We just don't want Roz to know that your dad was involved with something that happened to be on the wrong side of the law. Because if she did find out, either she'd have to resign, or she and your dad would have to split up. Maybe you've already worked that out. Maybe that's what you want to happen. Don't you like your dad?
I just don't think you should have told me. I've been obsessed, worrying about him going to prison. Oh, he's such a blank. He goes to prison, and he's gonna get beaten up or raped or something, and what about Georgina? She's only little. How's she supposed to cope with something like that? It's not fair.
That won't happen. I won't let that happen. For your sake. For Roz's sake. Listen. It happened a long time ago. He didn't know what he was getting into till it was too late. He was exploited. And I get the best lawyers.
Does my dad know you're here?
He rang Miranda. Miranda rang me.
Miranda knows?
Mm-hmm. See? You're in good company. Now, my problem is this. You've dropped out. It won't take Roz long to find that out, and when she does, she's going to want to know why. We're worried that you might be tempted to tell her about your dad, because you blame him, don't you? Partly. I want you to promise me that you won't tell her. And in return, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
What?
I want you to come and live with me. I want you to be my apprentice.
Yes, Chancellor?
Nina, get Ben.
I've got Ben Sixsmith for you, Chancellor.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. Okay. I'll come with you.
Really?
Yes, really.
Really, really, really?
Yes. Really, really, really.
You know, I'll have to tell people.
Yes, it will involve telling people something. I understand that.
We're an item.
No, no, not an item. I'm just coming with you, all right?
Okay.
Look, I've got to go. I've got this 4-hour session with the Japanese finance minister.
I love you.
Do you?
You know I do.
That's very sweet of you. I'm going now. Okay?
Okay, see you later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Chancellor?
Yeah.
The Prime Minister's going to be an hour late for the meeting with the Japanese finance minister.
Why?
Beverley Clark's in hospital. She took some pills, apparently.
Beverley Clark behaved appallingly. I'm sorry it's come to this, but you need to get your priorities straight. Send Alistair Campbell in if you're so bothered.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
They pumped my stomach.
Roz has asked Kate Rothko to take over your desk at Health. She wants you to spend some time in your constituency, with your family, with your children. Get yourself straightened out. That you made a mistake. You can get over this.
There was something
What?
else I need to talk to Roz about.
Okay. Is it something you can say to me?
No. That night, Monday night, when I was out with Liz Shannon, she told me something. She told me that Kitty Porter gave her £125,000 to defect to Ros from the Labour Party. Undeclared. Definitely not above board. And she said she wasn't the only one.
The people of the United Kingdom will not make a single car journey.
If there was enough money in the pot for that, a trained chimpanzee could do this job.
Do you actually know what you're doing? I mean, secretly? Or are you just as scared as I am?
We could have done this in a fucking taxi.
Don't tell Catherine. It would blow the party apart.
I want to go home. To me mum. I'm not going to tell her about my dad, okay?
I just want you to get a job.
Oh, you haven't a clue, so fuck off!
Don't speak to me like that.
And I could crush you if I wanted to, like that.